Hi, today we're talking about perimenopause, those years leading up to menopause. And what this time is frustrating sometimes because we don't know what's going on, but there is a lot going on. We have all sorts of changes in our body happening, and sometimes we don't know how and what to do about it. So I want to talk about perimenopause. I want to talk about natural treatments we can do to fight some of these symptoms that happen. So first, let's start about talking about what perimenopause is. Perimenopause is the time leading up to menopause. And what menopause is the absence of your period for one entire year. Yeah, you can go a few months and then bleed again, still in perimenopause. I know, it's a drag. It can last up to 10 years. I apologize for that because that is a long time to deal with a lot of these symptoms. And I want to go over some of these symptoms. But the average age people hit menopause 1 year without bleeding is about 51. But don't be upset if you're still having them after 51 or if you got them early. Some people start in their early 30s, more people in their 40s. So it hits everyone differently. But what the premise of all of this feelings of angst is our hormones are changing. Specifically, estrogen and progesterone are wreaking havoc. They're dropping. We're losing estrogen and progesterone. But the big difference is the relationship of estrogen to progesterone that can cause all of these crazy symptoms. So some of these symptoms, our metabolism starts to slow down, our muscle mass starts to decrease, and all of that means our weight starts to increase. We become more insulin resistant, which I'll go into a little more detail on in a minute. We lose some of our digestive enzymes, so you may find that you can't digest things as well anymore. We get bone loss, there can be joint pain, collagen loss, your hair might start to thin, your skin might start to sag. And then there's our mood shift with perimenopause. There's anxiety and fatigue and brain fog. We get a loss of libido. Sometimes there's hot flashes and night sweats and headaches and heart palpitations, sleep disturbances, insomnia. Yeah, all of this can fall under the perimenopause symptoms. So I'm not saying all of this just to totally bum you out. I'm saying that all of these symptoms fall under the umbrella of perimenopause, of losing some of these vital hormones, of seeing a disrupted balance between estrogen and progesterone. So it's challenging for sure because estrogen lubricates the joints. So when you lose estrogen, you might start noticing the joint pain. And progesterone is our chill out hormone. It helps us sleep. So you can see how these two hormones cause so much issue in the body. But there are things that you can do. That's the good news. There are natural things you can do before you need to reach for a prescription. There are some natural things that you can do that I always recommend people start the natural way. Do the things that don't require a doctor's prescription, unless of course you really need it, then go for it. But I think these are good steps to try before you go down that avenue. And I was gonna say they're easy, but more they're simple. You know, there are things that if you just apply and do a little planning can actually really work. So how do you feel good during perimenopause and even in your 40s and 50s and beyond? Number one, exercise. I know, so easy, but our hormones are decreasing along with our metabolism and our muscle mass. And that makes exercise essential. It's essential, especially lifting weights. Building muscle, because we're losing that muscle mass, and losing that muscle mass means we're going to start to gain weight too and get the creaky joints. Lift weights, got to build that muscle. And I always tell my coaching clients, lifting weights is like a freebie. It's a freebie weight loss because when you have more muscle, you burn more fat, you burn more calories. So definitely start lifting weights. I love bar class. It's an easy, low impact, sculpt every muscle of your body workout. If you're in good shape already, lift heavy weights. That's great. You obviously want to make sure that you have the right thing for you. If you have a lot of weight on you right now and a lot of pain in your body, heavy weights are probably going to be challenging for you to start off with. Resistance bands can be good for you because then you're just using your own body weight. HIIT class, high intensity interval training. Have you heard about this? These are short, intense bursts of exercise. You go as hard as you can and then you take a break. Again, not for everyone out of the gate. If you've been exercising a while, this is a great way to reset your hormones, burn fat, feel good. But there's also low impact. There's walking, there's yoga, there's gardening. Just try and get a minimum of 30 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week. I personally try and go for about an hour, at least 5 times a week, but some of these days are walks, some of them are yoga. And then a couple days I do make sure to do weights and resistance training. There's a study that was done on yoga at how it helps you eat more mindfully and gain less weight because you're being really conscious of what you're eating. So yoga has a great three-fer in that it also helps you relax. So exercise, get your exercise on. That's really gonna help with your hormones. It's gonna help with your mood. It's gonna help with your sleep. Next up, food. Yeah, there's lots we can do with food to balance our hormones and make us feel better at this stage of life. I'll tell you, if you want one hack, I hate saying the word hack, if you want one thing to do for food, you're probably gonna know what it is already. Stop eating sugar. I know, it's so good. It's so good. But sugar messes with everything. It messes with our metabolism and our sleep and our hormones and our weight. And like I told you before, we just don't have the digestive juices anymore to break stuff down. And so when I say sugar, yes, I mean refined sugar, the stuff that goes into cookies and cakes and sweets. But I also mean carbs, lovely, lovely carbs. Carbs break down into glucose in the body. And when we have all the glucose in the body, insulin comes, tries to usher it into the cells so we can use for energy later. It's a great plan, theoretically. But our cells get full, and then there's nowhere for the glucose to go. And then that turns to fat, that fat around the middle, that midlife middle. I hate the name, but it's true. So we really got to watch the sugar intake in all forms. The refined sugar, the white flours, the breads, and then watch the heavy carbs, because that stuff is just turns to sugar, turns to fat, and just will send our hormones racing. And that's how we can develop insulin resistance as well. Insulin can no longer get that glucose into the cells. And when we have excess insulin in our body, we cannot lose weight. It is not possible to lose weight, to burn calories while we have excess insulin floating in our bloodstream. I know. So just cut way back on the sugar, really watch your carbs, your refined carbs, and then eat a balanced plate. What's a balanced plate look like? Fat, fiber, protein. Healthy fat, avocados, your nuts. I am a proponent of organic grass-fed red meat. If you're a meat eater, that actually can be helpful. It's got your fat, it's got your protein. Just avoid the breads and the pastas. Those are just gonna blood sugar up. It's gonna send you on a roller coaster. It might wake you up at 3 a.m. I know. So you wanna keep your blood sugar stable with these fat, fiber, and by fiber, I mean low carbohydrate, non-starchy vegetables, you know, carrots and sweet potatoes, leafy greens, all of those. So eat your balanced plate. And when you eat a balanced plate, you don't need to snack in between. And that's gonna help keep your insulin stable as well. All right, next up, stress. Yeah, you've heard it before, gonna say it again. When your stress level goes up, your cortisol goes up. That's your stress hormone. And what that does, it also increases your blood sugar. So you got a blood sugar increase coming from your food, and then you've got a blood sugar increase coming from stress. We really want our blood sugar stable. That makes us stable, makes us feel better, makes us sleep better, have more energy, all of the things. So de-stress. How do you do that? Meditate. Just take deep breaths into your belly, not your chest. That's going to make you feel a little hyperventilating when we breathe up there versus into our belly. Just simply doing that can do wonders. So de-stress. And then there's sleep. I know, we need to sleep, but the crazy thing is we can't sleep because our hormones are out of whack, right? Yeah. So how do we get good sleep? Everything I just talked about. Eating well, eating a balanced plate, exercising, de-stressing, and then make sure you're not eating 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. You gotta get that blood sugar balanced. You gotta get time to metabolize, because sometimes when we wake up at 2, 3 a.m., it's the blood sugar wearing off. Like if you have drinks and then you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, and you can't go back to sleep, blood sugar stabilization. Blue light, that's another tough one. You gotta have your blue light knocked out. I'd say 2 to 3 hours as well. Stop eating 2 to 3 hours. Try and get off your devices 2 to 3 hours. Because that blue light, that's the light that comes from all your electronics, that prevents melatonin from being produced. Melatonin is what helps you fall asleep. Some people may take melatonin. If you can just get off that blue light at the end of the night, let that melatonin naturally occur, that will do wonders for your melatonin, as well as all of these things I just talked about. Eating well, that stress reduction so you can fall asleep. You just want to balance your cortisol and your melatonin. Cortisol rises in the morning, it helps you wake up, and the melatonin comes in at night so you can sleep. It's a great process. So these are just a few simple things that you can do right now to try and balance your hormones and stave off some of the crazy symptoms that occur with perimenopause and go even into menopause sometimes. It's this hormone imbalance that we're always working with. And my big push that I work with all of my coaching clients on is blood sugar stabilization. How does blood sugar get stabilized? Those healthy meals with fat, fiber, and protein. Exercise so you can burn calories. Good sleep so the hormones can all reset. Because when you get a bad night's sleep, your hunger hormone goes up. The need to eat and to not eat great food, that occurs. So sleep, exercise, eat well, de-stress. All of these things are going to help, and it takes a while. And if you need any more hand-holding, I do work with women one-on-one to get all of this stuff stable so you can have more energy, be the weight you want to be, and just feel good in your body for so many years to come. Ladies, we're living so long now. Let's live it well. So I hope everyone has a great day. We'll talk soon.